Hello, hello. Thank you for coming back to my channel. If this is your first time, welcome. And if you're a returner, then I appreciate you very much. Today, I'm going to do my 2023 TBR. No, we're not at 2023, I realize, but we only have a couple of months left to go. And I know what I'm reading in the month of October. I have a pretty good idea what I'm reading in the month of November. I have no idea what I'm reading in December, but I know that there are a lot of books, a lot of series that I haven't read or accessed that I really want to. And being a relatively new booktuber, I am in that sweet spot. I hear and see some people who are having, fantasy fatigue, or they're in a book slump, or they just, maybe they're in a video making slump. They don't want to do it. They don't feel it or whatnot. But I'm new. So I've got all that enthusiasm, and I've got all the energy of a person who hasn't yet experienced all these things that, many seasoned booktubers have, or people who have been reading for a while. Because I've always been a reader, but there have been periods of time in my life when I haven't read for one reason or another. Particularly when I was going to college, I couldn't read for fun during that time, or else I would end up reading for fun and not reading the textbooks and not get good grades. But so there are books that have come out that I didn't bother with, or that passed me by, or there are books that are coming out now or are popular now, or people are talking about them, and I want to be a part of it. And as this isn't entirely FOMO, but maybe a little, but not entirely. I'm not trying to put pressure on myself. I don't want to read books that I won't like just to be a part of it, a part of the discussion, or part of the movement to read this or whatnot. But there are some books that I have been noticing people talking about that I've started to quietly collect, or if not collect the actual books themselves, put on a list. Here are some books that I'm going to want to read. So that's my 2023 TBR. I don't know how much of this I will get done in 2023, but I want to try to at least start, if not get significantly through, many of these books in 2023. And of course, new books will come out, and those will be peppered in. But here's what I'm looking at for 2023. So in January of 2023, Joanna and a bunch of people from the Grimoire Discord is starting a Song of Ice and Fire read-along, which I am going to participate in. I am very excited to participate in that. And this is, of course, a series written by George R.R. Martin. And I love the TV show Game of Thrones. And I loved it to the tune of having watched it, I don't know, at least 6 times all the way through. And then more times, not all the way through. But I love that series. And I did read the first book ages ago. And I have all the books. I have all 5 books, and I've read the first one and part of the second one, but life got in the way and I had to put it down and never picked it back up again. And so this feels like a perfect time to do that. And so I will be experiencing this series mostly for the first time, with a bunch of other people who are either rereading it or experiencing it for the first time, and that's exciting. The next series, and these are in no particular order, by the way, but the next one that I hear a lot of people talking about, particularly when I first started earlier this year, is the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. I have heard so many great things about these books, and a lot of the booktubers that I really like have had Fonda Lee on their channels, and this just seems like a series that I want in on. So I intend to, I think it's just a trilogy, so I intend to get started on that in the next year, or possibly December. I'm not sure what I'm doing for December yet, but if I don't have a bunch of theme reads going on, maybe I'll start some of these then. The next one in the list here is the First Law series by Joe Abercrombie. Now, I didn't know the term grimdark before I started booktube. But I have been told that the Game of Thrones is a grimdark world. And since I know I love that, then I'm sure that I will love grimdark fantasy. And I've heard that Joe Abercrombie is a master at it, and that his grimdark isn't so dark that you don't want to finish it, but it's dark enough to give you all those feels. So I'm excited to pick that up. It's a pretty good sized series, so we'll see. But I'm all in or I'm all out usually, so it'll be all the books and the standalones and stuff in the world. I'm wanting to get into that. The next book, it is not a series, it is just a single book, but sometime in the next year, I want to read Stephen King It. I have talked about it on this channel a lot, and, you know, in case this is your first time here, I tried to read it in high school, and I DNF'd it about halfway through. I was, like, right at 50%, I'm sure. But just because it was too long and I was too impatient as a high schooler to care to continue. And I regret that because I've always loved the adaptations, and I have heard talk about, well, in the book it's like this or whatever, and I want to read it. I want to see what the adaptations can't show, and a lot of people, this book is one of their favorites of Stephen King's, and so I want to finish it and really really get all that information for myself, get that story for myself. I'm sure it's one I will love. I just haven't picked it up, and it's an intimidating sized book for me. So I've heard a lot about the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch, and I've heard that I've heard a lot of favorable reviews on that series, and so that's one that I want to get into sometime next year. Brandon Sanderson. I mean, I haven't read Mistborn, Era 1 or Era 2, and it's possible that I will be starting that in 2022, maybe December. I will start Mistborn, the first book in Mistborn, but it's a series that I definitely want to work my way through next year and get through it. I so far have loved everything that Brandon Sanderson has written that I've read, so I don't anticipate that this will be any different. So I'm excited to get in there, and I feel like there's a big chunk of booktube, fantasy booktube knowledge that will be unlocked by having read that series. So I'm excited to do that. There's another book series that you can't switch to somebody's booktube channel without hearing about this author and hearing about this series. And good things mostly, some bad things, but mostly good things about this series, and excellent things about this writer. And I'm talking about Robin Hobb. I've never read anything by Robin Hobb. So the Realm of the Elderlings series seems like something that I would enjoy. It's a little intimidating how many books there are out there, but because they're kind of broken up into trilogies, it feels a little more accessible, I guess. But it is a series that I want to in on. I've heard a lot of good comments about it, and I'd like to experience her writing and her storytelling and see if it's something that I would like. An author in particular that I feel like I will really like, but I haven't read anything of, is johngwynne. And there are a couple of series from him that I have heard a lot about, people raving about them, and I really want to read. And The Faithful and the Fallen series by johngwynne. Hello, this is Editing Jennifer for just a moment. I kind of made a mistake on the johngwynne books. I attributed him to a different series, and what I meant to say in this series, I want to read the Shadow of the Gods and Hunger of the Gods books that he has out, as well as the Faithful and the Fallen books. Those are 2 series by John Gwynne that I really want to get into coming up next year. And I kind of butchered it. I gave him I gave one of his series a different title that I didn't mean to. So if the editing's a little choppy here and the addition of this is kind of jarring, sorry about that. Mistakes were made. I hear he's got a great writing style, and so that's another couple of series that I wish to read more about. I don't know a lot about what the story, what they're about, because I try not to spoil myself about what a series is about too much. So I don't know exactly what they're about, but I do know that, like, Malice and Valor, and I don't remember all of them in the series. The covers are gorgeous, and it seems like, and I know that there's a lot of, like, war or conflict in the books, and it sounds exciting. It sounds fast paced. It sounds like something I might like. So that's a couple of series. It's an author that I'm hoping to get into in 2023. The next one on my list here is the Aurelian Cycle by Rosaria Munda. I heard about this series from Elliot Brooks, and she just loves them. She can't say enough good things about them. And I've also seen it on a couple other people's channels, and it's a trilogy. Seems really good. The covers are beautiful. Of course, I don't know why the covers being beautiful should matter to me. I don't access them physically, but the covers are beautiful, and they still the pictures draw me in. I don't know what to tell you. I'm simple like that. But it does sounds like, from the descriptions I've heard, a good series, and a very satisfying series, and so I'm there for it. So I want to get into that sometime next year. And the last one, I bought these books a month or so ago on a deal that Amazon was having, and it's the Winnowing Flame Trilogy by Jen Williams, and the covers are gorgeous. It's a fantasy series with animal companions, and all that sounds fun. I like animal companions, and sometimes you get animal companions, but you don't get a lot of them, or you don't get, like, they'll be there, but they're more like accessories or window dressing. So I'm hoping that this is different. The covers heavily feature the fantasy animals. So, and I've heard it's, animal companions are featured heavily in the series. So I'm excited to read that. Those are the ones that I have so far. Are there any I'm missing? Is there anything that you think should be on the list for 2023 that you're not sure if I've read or not? Or your favorite quintessential fantasy or horror books or series that you think, as a booktuber, maybe you should have read this, or maybe you should read this, or I really love this, you might love this. Please put those comments down below. I would love to hear from you what you might love. What are also another good question for you is what's going to feature on your TBR in 2023? What book or book series have you said, I really want to read that, but I'm going to have to push it off till next year? What kind of books do you have on that list? And maybe I have them on my list. Maybe if I don't, maybe I'll think I should put them on my list. So I hope this has been interesting to you. I appreciate you coming and spending the time with me. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. It's free to do, and it really helps out my channel. And I really appreciate you coming to spend this time with me. And so I hope you have a great rest of your day.